COVID, and boy, what a surprise it has been in the last week or two for New South Wales, in particular with property, auction clearance rates. Stay tuned. We're going to cover the ins and outs of what you're seeing.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 499. Can't wait for tomorrow for episode 500. It's special. Want to thank everyone for tuning in and encouraging us to continue. And yeah, tuning in. It's been good, Mark, many years. But let's get straight into it. Auction numbers. Did anyone hold any auctions at COVID? If so, how many were held? How many were cancelled? What were the rates? Were things selling? And what we're seeing on the ground. So there'll be many people out there who need to sell, need to upsize, and they're in two minds. They're like, well, it's a really good market, but should I list my property? Should I wait? What's going on? This is the episode for you. Mark, morning.
G'day. It's super interesting. Hey, so for some reason, Australian public, the New South Wales public, really resonate with auction clearance rates, meaning how many properties are being actually sold under the hammer on a Saturday when an auction is being held. I think we're probably one of the only countries that follows this metric where auctions are so popular. I think we're one of the only countries in the world that actually do this.
Yeah, a lot of them, the days on market are really long. And you know what? I saw a couple of comments on that. If anyone was watching Lux Sydney or Lux, the real estate show with Gavin Deline, watch it. It's phenomenal. And I think it really emphasizes the auction process for a lot of overseas. I saw some comments about that in just some of their chats. We've had Simon Polito, an Australian auctioneer in America, who's basically said the same thing. Like, no one used to do this, and we're pumping, and in a stronger market works well. DJ, good morning. Morning, fellas, tuning in. Sunshine Coast. I think you guys are doing pretty well up there with COVID, and thanks for tuning in. But we've done a show previously on auction rates. And
NRL just moved up to Queensland, so congratulations to DJ and to Queensland for getting all the footy players and footy games. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks or months.
Yeah. So we did a show previously on like auction rates. Should you watch them? What do they mean? So it's a really good one to analyze and watch. But let's go through it. So we're probably a couple of weeks into lockdown. We've had a lot of conversation with owners. We had an auction story last week, Mark, with your French's Forest property about should you cancel the auction. So let's dive straight into some of the numbers and we can talk through it. So this is a really good data to look at it where it's got this week's and last week's. So 782 auctions were scheduled. The sale rate was 76.6, which is huge. And especially when you compare it to last week, which was, I think, the first week of lockdown, 76. We're up from last year, which was 64. Compare it to Melbourne and all these other states who did not have the lockdowns. The Sydney market, it's just crazy. And I want to show you Northern Beaches in particular. If we have a look here and break it down, there was 76.8 sold, $1.35 million, which I think Mark and I is higher than probably what we would have thought. Not surprised, but we are surprised. Like, Mark, talk us through what's going on. Like, why are people doing auctions? Should they be doing it? I'm not talking about a COVID stance. Just from if you're selling, wanting the best price, why is it good or bad to be doing it now?
I think, look, at the end of the day, the whole idea of the auction process is so buyers can eyeball buyers, and there's the emotion and there's the certainty on the spot. There's the closure. You know that it's not going to loom on selling your property or buying that property. It's actually a fixed time, so it's a very finite way to sell. And I think people actually enjoy that. We held a COVID auction a week ago, and I had a really good chat with a buyer where there was two different ways to actually sell the property, and one was to do it by FaceTime, so each real estate agent holds a buyer on their phone in their hand. Another one was doing it on a Zoom conference, and she was a bit surprised that the auction wasn't being held by Zoom, because she really wanted to eyeball all the buyers in the Zoom room at the time. So it was an amazing, and that's just clearly a benefit from auctions. So I think COVID or no COVID, people enjoy that clarity and that of who's who in the Zoom in an auction.
Yeah, 100%. You do lose that sort of emotion part of an auction, but it is still a very good, transparent way for people to buy. Like, let's say a face-to-face in-room crowd packed is 10 out of 10 style. This is still an 8. Like, you're still getting 8 out of 10, I reckon, or 7 out of 10 of the auction benefits, and to get the best price as well. And to be honest, it actually may be even better under the circumstances, because a private treaty, a lot of buyers, they may just feel like other buyers won't be going for it. So they think they can wait, and they're a little bit, I don't know, they're just not as urgent to buy it. So it could actually be really beneficial, even if you're doing it via phone, via Zoom. Now, these are figures I just want to point out. If anyone loves looking at the data, Lewis Christopher gives some great figures where total auction scheduled with 806 and still on for tomorrow.
Can you explain that? What does that mean?
Yep. So scheduled auctions is basically data that from realestate.com, they've chosen auction for this weekend. So you grab all of them. Then that gets washed out often most of the time. No one actually looks at that data. If you look at the way when people are reading auction clearance rates, we're going to bring this 806 up in a second, because that's really, really important, and nobody talks about that 806 number. The ambition of people stamping their property saying, I'm going to auction this, and how many actually take it through all the way. Yeah, we discussed that on the auction show, where you've really, like, when I dive into these numbers, you'll really be like, does the clearance matter that people market and you see on Channel 9, does it really mean anything? Because if you look at these figures, they only grab the sale number. So that 76 is of those 260 properties that still are being an auction held, that only 76 of them sold. So and because what we mean by that is if realestate.com hasn't been updated and they call the agent no answer, they put in unknown, they don't count it, which with most data you count all figures and then get your figure, but it was almost like anyway, long story. So it's of those 260. Now, interesting to see, sold prior was 240. I think we would typically, I can look back, but I think typically it would be about 50 there. Now, rescheduled and withdrawn are interesting as well. 226 converted to private treaty, 77. So nearly, a third were withdrawn or converted to private treaty. To be honest, I reckon the withdrawn and reschedule will probably end up being private treaty, if not sold prior. So that's really good data, and that's from Lewis Christopher. I'll show you even more data they give here on their SQM website, where they've got the auction rates ending, Sydney, Melbourne. Like Sydney was 872 compared to Melbourne 1100. So still doing really well, some big pricing. Yeah. Anyway, so I just love the data. I love the numbers. And 700-800 is pretty typical for Northern Beaches, but the withdrawn. Now, moving forward, Mark, there's people who have sold who have to buy. There's people who have bought that have to sell. If an owner is watching this right now and they need to get on the market, besides call us, what would you say to them about speaking with their agent about strategy? Should they put an auction without a date? Should they just do an auction, do the 4-week? Should they just do private treaty? What's your thought on one of those property, a unicorn property that you would typically take to auction? Should they wait a month? Who knows when lockdown ends? Should they just take it off? But we've just seen such a strong market.
Yeah, look, I think that the auction process, the reason why you would auction a property is clear and hasn't changed. The reason why you would not auction a property is clear and has not changed. So I think with COVID around, people thought that the effectiveness of an auction was not there. Particularly in COVID 1, people didn't know, and they were like, "Well, we're not going to gamble with our own property on this auction thing. We're just going to pull it." Whereas I think we've had that 14 months of hindsight now. We've had auctions that we've run via through lockdown and throughout lockdown, and I think that the fears subsided and the facts have come to the top that your prices are, if your auctions set up via Zoom or your auction set up via FaceTime or however you're doing it, is maybe just as effective as your auction in an open room, which we didn't know before.
Just to interject quickly in your point there, because you a really good point, which people are like, would the online work? So obviously no one can do face-to-face. So of those 260 numbers, nearly 80% sold via this technique. So you can be rest assured, regardless of pricing, that the method works. People are willing to buy. I think that's the bet. Out of all these numbers, that is the takeaway. People are willing to buy over the phone. There was nearly 80% people willing to do an auction over the phone and buy a property. And that is the biggest stamp of approval, because even before, like you may have not paid attention a year ago with lockdown. Maybe your agent didn't. They weren't working either, because it was a bit like, oh my God, we're all going to die last year in the first instance. So some agents did stop, but the ones who worked through, great benefit, because you're coming into this full steam ahead. But you can now say to your owners confidently, we can do a great campaign and it will still sell. Buyers will do the deal. Auctioneers will do the deal over the phone. There is no problem that way. It just sort of clicked when finish off.
Yeah, no, and I think also a good point, but I think also people feel like auctions via Zoom or auctions via FaceTime or whatever the software is, they feel like we've like flown a spaceship to the moon. It's like, oh my God, who would have ever thought? That's how we've been buying property for the last 20 years. Yeah. People ring me up and make an offer on a property. That's all we're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. So if they're ringing me up saying I'd like to put an offer in of $500,000 for this unit, or they're bidding $500,000 for the unit auction, what's the difference? So people are like, wow, I can't believe we're doing auctions and on via all this software. It's like, don't complicate it. That's just what we've always been doing, guys.
You're right. And I think the key for owners is don't overthink it. Agents, don't overthink it and worry about it. It's very simple. It's like making a phone call, have everyone on the. I think that's a big thing. It's that people's perceptions will screw it up. But I think that's a wrap. You've anything else you want to add on to that?
Congratulations, Novak Djokovic, for winning the tennis. Congratulations for the Poirier for the UFC title fight yesterday.
Oh, to win!
And I think, and I think congratulations to I don't know if it's Italy or if it's England that's won in the they just had the shootout.
Let me have a look.
But England, and also or the young lady that's won Wimbledon as well. Like, we just had probably one of our biggest sporting days in history yesterday, the last 24 hours.
I don't think it's finished yet. England versus Italy live update still going. So go Italy, of course. But yeah, it's a huge sporting day. Penalties, Italy 3-2. I don't think that's final. I think they do a few. But This is really good.
England just lost, says James Lamplayer. The Italians, right? Oh, unbelievable. You know what? The Italians are great at soccer. Always.
We'll see now, because I was like, I didn't. Obviously, yeah, I thought when he said who won, I was like, well, I didn't see any of the Italian people on my Facebook go yippee yet. So now we'll start seeing all the posts. But
It's gonna get nuts.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us know, James. But yeah, that's a wrap. Tune in for tonight, 8:00. I believe it's yourself and Lisa talking about good stuff as well. Can you get a great price now? So we touched on one part of maybe a sale method, and they'll elaborate a lot further tonight.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, beautiful people. See you later.